discuss about Loopback framework, and it is a highly extensible Node.js and TypeScript framework for building APIs and microservices. Currently, it's version 4, and you can go through this one on this loopback.io website about that Loopback framework, that what it supports and all. So who is using Loopback framework? So this one, like GoDaddy, Symantec, IBM, the top companies also use Loopback framework. And let's go to the documentation. If you go to the documentation in the Loopback 4 version, you also see what is the diagram, like the API developer, platform developer, extension developer. All these are the core of that Loopback framework, and it has also won the award, and it is highly extensible open source Node.js TypeScript framework which is based on Express. If you are familiar with Express, then Loopback framework is going to be easy for you for creating the APIs. And for getting started, you need Node.js in your system on your machine, and after that you can install Loopback 4 CLI globally, so that you can type the command lb4. So without wasting any time, let's get started in the Visual Studio. So I've opened my Visual Studio, and let's type the command lb4 and the project name emp app. Okay, so it will offer the project description. So in the project description we will write anything. You can write this as project about employee management APIs. Yes, application class name, you can type enter, then enter. So it is yarn is available. Do you want to prefer to use it by default? No, I will go to the npm one. You can use yarn if you are comfortable in yarn. Now it will install all the dependencies. So next step is to go to the directory, change directory mp app, and if you see here, this we have, all the files are ready, even the docker file and all, everything is ready with that command only. So that is why this loopback is very fast. And if you see repo folder, model, data sources, controller, we will go one by one what it does, and even the default text. So now we have built the model. So next step is to add the data source. So data source is nothing but your database. So like you have multiple data sources and your application. So you can use MongoDB, you can use PostgreSQL. So depending upon your need, you can switch between the databases. So without wasting any time, let's open our pgadmin. So if you're not familiar with pgadmin, so pgadmin is a UI for PostgreSQL where we need to create a database. So now what we'll do, we will create another database for our employee webs app. So the database name would be employee. Okay, yeah. Now we have saved the database. Now let's go back to our code. Employee model, in which we have these fields, right? Employee ID, name, address, age, active, created date. Okay, so what we'll do, we will create a table in the DB. Okay, so what we'll do, we can create the table by the manually, like you can use the query tool, or we can create the table manually as well. So what we'll do, we will, okay, database is already created, we go to schema, then public. If you see there is no table here, what we'll do, we'll create a table. The table name would be employee, and by default, let's add the column. The column would be, I guess, emp id for employee id, and we can give integer. Where is int? We can type int. Okay, it's not null. Primary key, yes, it's a primary key. Okay, now let's proceed to the next one. Next one would be name. You can use character varying. Name you can give, I think 100 would be enough. Should be not null. Again, we're going to add the next one would be address. That would be string. Again, string. Sorry, or string. We can give character variable again. We can give 255. Address can be null. Now let's go back to the age. Age would be integer. Int cool. Now active would be boolean and created date. Active would be boolean. Cool. Now created date. Okay. Is it right? Yeah. Okay. Date. Okay. So what we'll give? We'll give default current date. Now it's so if you go to see the columns here, employee ID, name, address, age, active, created date, all has been created. So now what we can do, we can go back to here, and what we'll do, we will try to connect our database, what we have created. So for that we can use the command, this one, data source name. Okay, LB for data source DB. We'll select the connector for DB. In memory key value, IMDb hash, these are the various DB which are available. So we can go to the PostgreSQL, we can enter it, override, yes, okay, and the host would be localhost, port would be 5344, port from where we can check the port, connection, here you can check the port 5433, host name is localhost, sorry 5433, username you can go there, username is Postgres, okay, password, I'm typing the password, database is our employee database. So if you see, it will create in a fraction of seconds. So the database has been created and the connection is also being created. If you see in the data source, we have db.datasource.ts file in which the name would be db, and this is the connector, PostgreSQL, localhost, port, username, password, and database is your employee. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will create an repository. Okay, if you go to the documentation, the next step would be a repository to create a repo. So for creating a repo, what we'll do, LB for repository, we can give LB for repository, sorry. So what we'll do, it will ask you the data source name. So there is only a single database data source name, so what we'll do, we will give employee, here enter to proceed. Yep. So if you see, created the employee. In the employee repository, you can see here, there is the DB data source which is being used. So if you want to use another data source, then we can create another data source here, and then we can import that data source which we want to use with that repository and with this employee table. Like if you see here, model has been imported by default, which we have created. So basically the repository is linking between the model and your data source which is going to be used. So that's the second step has been done. Now we can add a controller, the third step. So let's do it. LB for controller. Now it will ask you the controller name, so controller name would be employee only. Okay, employee will be created. So that's what's the magic comes with this loopback framework, that you want empty controller or you want rest controller with CRUD function. Definitely we will choose this one. So the model to use, currently we have only single model, so yeah, we will use employee model only, but if you have multiple models, then the list would be there also. What is the name of your code repository? Employee repository. And what is the ID property? We have like EMP ID. What is your ID number? Yes. Is the ID omitted when creating a new instance? Yes. What is the base HTTP path of your CRUD operation? Yeah, by default employees. So now it's all set up. Now let's check it out. In the controller, the employee controller file has been created with the default CRUD operation. If you see /post, employee model instance, employee count, if you want to count the employees, get, you want to get the employees, if you want to update the patch is also there, update all, and the get employee by ID is also there, the update by ID is also there, put operation would be also there. So we will go one by one individually, and if you see here, delete operation is also there. So first what we'll do, we will try to create the repository. So let me try to run this code. So npm start. So if you can see in the data sources here, all the config has been generated here. So but it's a security threat that we don't want in the data file to include all the credentials. So what we'll generally use, we will use .env file for that. So and I highly recommend to use .env file for all the credential related things. So now before creating the .env file, we have to install .env. So let's install npm install .env. Okay. So what we will do, generally it's a good practice to create one config file, config.ts, and in config.php we will import star s dot env from dot env. Okay. Now dot env dot config, and now it's been initialized, then we can use config. Generally, we can give env as process dot env dot node underscore env, comma database here URL would be process dot env dot db underscore URL. Sorry, db underscore URL if it is there, otherwise null. Host process dot env dot db underscore host. We will do formatting later on. And port number process dot env dot db underscore port. Otherwise, we will type user, and then user again process dot env dot db underscore user. That is the otherwise password process dot env dot db underscore password. Sorry. And now after password we will give database name. So database equal to process dot env dot db underscore name. db underscore name we can give. Okay. That's all we can have right now. And in our data source, now go to the data source. Instead of this, what we can use const config, import config from dot slash config, and what we can give export default. Forgot to type export default config. Okay. Now if you will see the data source, okay, we can comment this out. We can use const db config instead of db configuration. Okay. And what we will give all the configuration of the database, and then connector is PostgreSQL. Okay. And our name should also be there. Name is our DB. So where config is used, we can give db config dot db. But not sorry. And then it's config we can give db configuration, and here also db configuration. And now we can, for our purpose, we can give database. Okay, so now we have created this one, so we will create a config env file. Okay, so dot env, so in that env file we can give whatever value we can give here. Now env is equal to development currently db host equal to localhost db port 5533 db underscore user is equal to postgres db underscore name is equal to employee, and rest is db password, whatever password we need to give it here. Okay. Now let's check it out if it is running successfully or not, and when start I will run. So if you can see here, database has been connected successfully. So it's successfully running, and sorry, I have to this one. So if you go to the API Explorer, what you will see the magic. Employee controller with all the CRUD operation has been created. The schema, relation, these all are there with your employee controller. And so first what we'll do, we will try to create one employee. So if you see here, the schema is also been created. So let's try it out. So the name would be John, address would be New Delhi. What we can do, we can have a default function, default fn function, in which we can write it as now, and we will have PostgreSQL. So basically it is not taking the column name, that is why we are mentioning here PostgreSQL column name. Column name is what? Created date, right? And what would be the type of this? Now let's check it out. And the data type would also there, like we are taking string, we will store as a string, but here it is a data type, and number and integer over here. That is the reason why we have changed. Now let's start npm and start. So let's start it out. 20 true, execute. What? So okay, employee ID does not exist. So sometimes what it does, this is like I have intentionally created this error. So if you can see in the database, it is not finding the employee ID. So you can go to the database. Okay, so here in the column, if you see, we have capital ID instead of small ID. So that is sometimes error occurs. So that's we need to cross check. That is why we have used this block, so that we can use small employee ID or whatever ID you can use here. Instead of EMP ID, you can use simple ID as well. So rather, like you can use column name here, and is regardless of what is column name, you can change the name here alias. Now let's run once again. npm start. Hopefully this time we won't get any error. So let's open it out. API Explorer. Try it out. Vishal. New Delhi. Age 30. Now let's execute it. Again you will see the error. Now what is the error this time? Employee ID. Now there is another error, guys. So here null value in column, this what it is showing that error null value in column employee ID of relation employee violation not null constraints. So what it does means that when we have created the table here, we can go to the property. What we have chosen in the column employee ID, it is act as a primary key, which is not null, but we have not enforced any rules over there, like constant, like how it will behave when someone insert a data. It will be increment or decrement by 2, or what should be the property. So you can go to their employee ID columns, then property section, go to the constraints, and go to identity and select identity, always increment by 1. Okay, and you can start by 1 also, you can give. Now let's save it. Now let's try it out again. Execute. So here it is, guys. So finally with employee ID 1, the response body has come with the status score of 200. Now I'm just curious to see the result over here. If you see view all, view rows, here the primary key with integer 1, Vishal, New Delhi, age 30, true. And here if you see created date is also coming, which is by default. Okay, so get all employees. So in get all employees, let's try it out. Let's remove the filters for now. Okay, and then if you execute, here you will get all 3 employees. So now let's check it out, the delete one also. So let's try to delete the second one. Execute. It's been deleted. 204. Okay, so now let's check it out with employee ID 2. Get, try it out with employee ID 2. Remove that filters and execute. 404. Now entity with this ID 2. So that's mean it's working fine. And if you will see the with all employees as well, Earlier it was 3. Now if we'll execute again, you will see with employee ID 1 and 3 is there. So, and one last API I want you to get is Liquid API. So ID number 2, if you want to update anything, what you can do is let's see, with this name